Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Teh Najma.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Miss.
Inshallah. Good morning, Teh Najma.
Good morning. Wait,
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Inshallah. All right. It seems like you're going to be alone again.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, Adinda just said that she won't be attending the class today, and I'm not sure about Kak Sharifah. Hopefully she will join us, but I think we should just start our class, yeah, because it's 9 o'clock already. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So Alhamdulillah you completed the mock test. When did you do it, Kak Najma?
Uh, this
This morning.
this early morning.
Wow. Mm. Okay, and you did it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how did you do that? Did you set up a stopwatch or something?
Uh, I think when we click play
Mm-hmm.
on the web,
It's automatically 30
yeah,
minutes,
it's
yeah?
automatically 30 minutes.
Oh, all right.
So
Okay
and
then.
I can stop the
Recording.
recording too.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. All right. Okay, I will try to look thoroughly through your answers later on, yeah, because I need to be careful. And also after that, I will help you and estimate your bandwidth, yeah, your band for the listening test. All right?
Okay. Thank you, Miss.
Okay, so we are moving to the speaking module today. I have to share some because we are going to watch some videos today. Okay. Oh, there's someone entering the waiting room. Who is that? Oh, the Sharifah. Okay, Alhamdulillah, someone else is joining us. Assalamualaikum, good morning, Kak Sharifah. Kak Sharifah, are you there?
Morning, Miss. Yeah, I'm here.
How are you today, Kak Sharifah?
I'm good.
Uh-huh. All right, that's great. Okay, you can catch up with the previous lessons by looking at the group description. I have provided the materials to the presentations there because today we are moving to the speaking module, ya, Kak Sharifah, ya? All right, let's start our class today with reciting dua in basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahman rabbi ishrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. All right, so we have completed the listening module from the previous 4 sessions. And as you may know already, the listening is the basic foundation for speaking. Therefore, we are moving to the next part, which is the speaking module. However, in the real test, the speaking test is usually put in the last session. So usually it goes like this: listening first, and then the reading comprehension followed with the writing session. And after that, you'll have the speaking overview later on during the day. All right, so as usual, I'm going to look into how much you have already known about speaking tests while I'll walk you briefly through it. Yeah? Okay, now I'm going to ask you guys, how do you rate your speaking skills? How confident are you in speaking? Kanejma, from scale 1 to 10.
I think 4.
Four. All right. Okay, that's your own rate, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How about Kak Sharifah? Kak Sharifah? Kak Sharifah?
6.
6. All right. You're very confident then. Okay. Thank you, guys. 4 and 6, yeah? Okay. We'll see later on during the practice. Okay. So, what do you know about this? How long is the speaking test? Okay. You can answer in the chat box. Just write A, B, or C in the chat box. B. All right. How about Kanajuma? Okay, that's correct, guys. It's 11 to 14 minutes for all of the sections. All right. Now, this one. How many parts does the test have? The speaking test. All right, that's great. You guys know it already. 3 parts in the listening test. Okay, now how about this one, guys? All right, no, exactly. All of the parts, the 3 parts, won't be talking about the same topic. Okay, how about this one, guys? What is part one called? All right, exactly. Part one is called the interview. Great. How about this one? How long is the interview? Okay, different answers, you guys. Okay, the correct answer for this one is B, 4 to 5 minutes for the interview and ID check as well. 4 to 5 minutes for the part one. Okay, how about part two? What is it called? All right. Okay, so part two is actually called the long turn, guys. Okay, we'll look at it later on, yeah? Okay, the long turn, that is part two. And how long is it, the long turn? Okay, because it's long, yeah? Okay, however, the correct answer for this one is A, 3 to 4 minutes only. Okay, how about this one? Part three, what is it called? A, all right, because the long turn is taken by part two, yeah? Yes, that's correct. It's the discussion for this one. The discussion. All right. So the interview is part one, the long turn is part two, and the discussion is part three. I'll explain it later on. And how about this one, guys? How long is part three? Mm-hmm. Okay, Kanechua. Your final answer is B. And Gasharifa, C. All right, the right answer for this one is 4 to 5 minutes again. All right. Okay, now this one. In which part of the test do candidates speak on their own about a topic that the examiner gives them? Mm-hmm. Okay, B, part two. All right, that's Kanajuma's answers. Okay, Kak Sharifah?
I think
Oh,
Sharifa.
yeah, she got disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay, yes, that's correct, Kanajuma. So, ay, duduk. All right, so the part two or the long turn, you'll be given a specific topic that you need to talk about. All right. Now this one, Kanajuma. In which part of the test do candidates answer questions from the examiner about familiar topics? Familiar topic. So, okay, Kak Sharifah, did you get disconnected? Okay, part one. Sorry, Miss, I got internet issue. Yeah, that's all right, Kak Sharifah. Okay, that's correct, Najma. Part one, the interview. You'll be asked about familiar topics. Yeah, because the name of the test itself is interview, so it's related to you. Something familiar. Okay, now how about this one? In which part of the test do candidates answer more general and abstract questions from the examiner? C, part three. All right. Okay, that's correct, Najma. Part three. Okay, that's where we do discussions with the examiner. Yeah, that's why it's sometimes more abstract and more general, even though the topic is somewhat related to the part two, usually. Okay, now, which of the following assessment criteria means speaking without stopping? Mm-hmm. Excellent. Very good, Kanajma. Fluency means speaking without stopping. Okay, now how about this one, Kanajma? Which one of the assessment criteria means organizing your ideas clearly? All right, excellent. Coherence. Right, coherence means you're able to organize your ideas clearly. Coherence. Hello, Kak Sharifah. Welcome back. You can catch up. All right. How about the part two? Let's talk about part two again. A, B, or C for part two? Mm-hmm. Okay, C, can I draw? All right. C, very good, Kak Sharifah. Yeah, that's correct, you guys. In part two, you'll have 1 minute to prepare notes, then speak to for 1 to 2 minutes. Yeah, it really depends on you. All right, very good, guys. So I can see that both of you already have, a picture of what it will be like in the speaking test. Okay, so I'm going to briefly showcase you about the overview of the speaking test. So the speaking test will consist of one candidate and one examiner. Okay, so not to worry that you won't have panelists, waiting over your answers. You will only talk to one person. All right. And then the test is between 11 to 14 minutes long. It really depends on how you answer those questions. And then the complete test is being recorded to a recording device. Okay, in case they want to go back to your answers again, they will play the recording. And then there are 3 parts which assess different parts of the speaking skills. So let's see. There are 3 parts in the speaking test. The first part is called the interview, all right, which we'll be learning, about today. So in the interview, you will be asked about your ID, your identification, usually your passport will be looked at, and then you'll be asked, where do you want to go, or do you want to work, or do you want to study abroad, something like that. And then you'll be asked, where do you live, and what do you do, something like that. So the interview, like we have seen earlier in the warming up session, it talks about familiar topics related to you. So in the speaking test, you should nail this part because you can't really practice it on your own, all right? And you can prepare it beforehand. And then in the part two, it is called the long turn. You'll be given a note like a flashcard, and then you'll be given pen and paper. And you'll be allowed 1 minute to prepare what you're going to say. This is called the long turn because you're going to do some kind of monologue for 1 to 2 minutes. Trust me, in the speaking test, it will feel like forever. That's why it is called the long turn. All right. And then the last part is called the discussion. Okay, from my experience and from what we know about the speaking test, the discussion is related somehow to the long turn. For example, if in the long term you were asked to write about an inspirational person in your life, then in the part three, you will be asked to discuss about, those kind of criteria for, an inspirational person, for example. From my experience, in my long term, I was asked to talk about a certain weather. And then in a discussion, we discussed about the weather in Indonesia. All right. So part three and part two, they are somewhat related, but not entirely. All right. And then the abilities tested for the speaking test. The first one is fluency. So as we see earlier, fluency means speaking without stopping. So make sure that you can speak without many pauses. Well, pauses is actually acceptable. You do it sometimes. However, if you stop or pause mid-sentences and it seems like you are thinking or remembering what to say, that might hurt your score. All right. So pausing is okay if you want to catch your breath in between sentences or if in between ideas. All right. But stopping mid sentences means you are not fluent enough or you cannot find the exact vocabulary that you want to express. All right. And then there's coherence. Coherence is crucial in part two. Okay, so this is assessed in part two. In the long term, because for that whole minute or even 2 minutes, can you organize your ideas clearly from the beginning to the end? All right, so coherence is assessed in part two. And then there's also lexical resource. Lexical resource is like the varieties of vocabularies that you use. Or synonyms, guys. For example, when you talk about hobbies, we can use other, like other word like passions or interests. Okay? It seems simple, but it's already part of, range of vocabularies that you can share. And then there's grammatical range and accuracy. So if you later look at the questions being given in the speaking test, they are usually very general. Very general. So it's up to you whether you can demonstrate the range of grammar that you already have, you know. So can you use past tenses, present tenses, future, perfect, simple perfect, or perfect future, or perfect, something like that. The perfect tenses. Okay, present perfect. Can you showcase that, your grammatical range and how accurate you use them? Okay, so you need to use it automatically. You don't need to be prompted because you're not going to be prompted to use it. So for example, when the examiner asks you, where do you work or what you study? Well, you should use it automatically using the present perfect continuous. For example, I've been studying English for 3 years and I'm planning to continue my studies abroad. Okay, so you automatically use different ranges of grammar when you're speaking. Like I said, without being prompted. So you automatically do it. All right. And then pronunciation. Pronunciation is also important because this is related to fluency. All right. So most of the time they will assess, or test these abilities when you're speaking. So make sure that you practice, on these areas. All right. However, not to worry. This kind of test is really can be, harnessed at home as long as you know the strategies. All right. So let's read about the part one, interview. Okay. So far for those three parts, are there any questions before we move on to part one? No? All good, yeah? All right, so part one, the interview. So the interview will last around 4 to 5 minutes. So usually before the speaking test, you'll be asked to wait in a waiting room. And then when your turn comes up, you'll be asked to enter, the examination room. And then you'll be asked to sit down and you'll be asked to show your ID, usually your passport. And while they're looking at your passport, they will ask you about yourself. All right? So, something like, tell me about yourself is a very common question. They will also ask you about your work or study, your family, the place where you live, and things you do in your free time. These four topics are really common to be asked in part one. All right? And like I said, this is something that you can prepare beforehand. You can even, practice on the answers that you want to use. However, they can feel that if you memorize your answers, they can detect it. So try to be as natural as possible when you answer the questions. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to practice. Okay, let's see before we watch some videos. Okay, Kana Juma. Okay, I hope you can answer this promptly, guys. You don't need time to prepare. Okay, just this one. Tell me about yourself, Kanajuma. Do you work or do you study?
I have graduated from computer science uh major, and I also have worked as a freelance related to my field. But for now, I'm not working and just studying by myself. Wait a minute, miss. Is this 1 to 2 minutes or
No, no, no.
how
It's the
long?
interview. It's the interview. You're not set to a limited time. However, when you are asked to tell about yourself, start with your name, Kanajuma.
Okay.
Yeah, start with your name and then where you come from. Okay, and if you want to mention your age, you can also mention your age. And after that, you go to answer this question. Okay, can you try it again, Kanajima?
Okay.
Okay, try it again.
My name is Najma Kolbi Harani, and people usually call me Najma. I am 23 years old this year, and I live in Cirebon. I've graduated from computer science major uh, in Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and after graduated, uh, I have done some freelance works related to my fields, but now I'm not working and just studying English and computer science by myself to prepare for study abroad.
All right. Okay, Kanajima. Okay, do you want this feedback now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, I can feel that you're very cautious about your grammar. So that's actually good, yeah? Like you're aware I've done some freelance works, so you'd like to add as, yeah, because you remember you mentioned the quantifier some. So I have to add as after this. I can feel that you're very aware, okay, about your usage in grammar. And you have also used present perfect, yeah, earlier. I've graduated from computer science major. So that's good. You show, different grammars. Okay, however, you can also use past tenses, like doing the freelance works. I did some freelance works, okay, where I did some, because you no longer do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can use
Okay,
that.
okay.
Okay, so try to use past tenses for things you did and no longer do. Present perfect for things you completed and still leave an impact on you. Okay, and then, well, you can also use present continuous, things you're planning, for things you're planning to do or currently doing. Okay, because I feel that you are already aware about your research in grammar, and that's good. You can upgrade it. Okay, so try to use this range when you're speaking. And well, even though you need some time to pause and think about what you said, there are like a split second or half a second in between words. You don't stop. So that's good, Kanajuma. Okay, you didn't stop in between your words. So you could carry on, in speaking, but you could practice more. So to make sure that you don't stop halfway. All right, Kanajuma?
All right, miss.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, now, Kasharifah, it's your turn.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my name is Sharifa. People usually call me Sharifa or anything, but actually the given nickname from my parents is Ima. But I love. I am currently 23 years old, and I graduated from university last year, and I am currently teaching in two different institutions. Yes, I love teaching, but I don't really love it actually. Um, and I'm working as a teacher. Apalagi ya? Uh, by watching Korean drama. I think that's it.
All right. Okay, Kak Sharifah. Okay. All right, this started out quite good there, Kak Sharifah. Okay, you use adverbs like currently. Okay, so guys, you can use adverbs if you want, yeah, to give more informations regarding yourself, like currently, recently, or whatever. Okay, to give, the preposition of time or to give the adverbs of time to give more information about what you're doing. Okay, and Kashar, if I used it, she used it twice, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. Okay, however, since you are already good in terms of pronunciation, Kasharifah, and you didn't stop, in between your words, you can try to practice in terms of practice on your coherence. So when you talk about yourself, the first thing that you say, like I said, tell us your name, and you did. Name, age, and where do you live? Where do you come from? Okay, I don't remember that you stated this earlier. And then your current activity. Okay, it seems like you kind of forget what to say there about after I'm currently teaching into institutions. So I'm currently a teacher. So it's like a repetition of informations. So instead of repeating that you're a teacher twice, you can mention what you teach. Okay, what do you teach in those schools or those institutions? Are you teaching math? Are you teaching English or whatever that you're teaching? Okay, give more information about yourself. Okay, so coherence, even you can demonstrate it in the first part, okay, by after mentioning what you work on, okay, what do you teach if you're a teacher, and then what's your plan? To end this section, guys, tell the examiner what's your plan, like Anajma did. I'm currently studying or I'm studying related to my fields, computer science and English, to prepare for preparing, for my studies. Okay, so what's your plan after this? Why are you taking the IELTS? Usually they like to know that. Okay, Kak Sharifah? All right. Okay, now let's move on to the second section, guys. Let's talk about your daily routine. What's your favorite part of the day and why? And do you prefer to be busy or have a lot of free time? Okay, I'm going to ask Najma again.
Okay. My daily routine, as for now, I since I'm not working and just studying by myself, I usually start uh my study on around 8 a.m. in the morning, and uh and wait, um and since I also uh don't have uh any targets or um wait a minute, please.
Okay, what kind of target are you referring to? The study target or the time limit, the deadline?
Yeah, the time limit. I don't
Okay.
have any time limit or a target time for studying. So uh I um wait um uh oh yeah, so I'm studying at my own pace. And my favorite part of the day is on the afternoon. I'm usually exercising or teaching my niece about computer science. Uh, and I think I enjoy that a lot. And I prefer to have a lot of free time. Uh, and because I can do many things, uh, such as reading books or uh, helping my parents or uh, go to uh, some cafes uh, or a library, and also playing games. I like to play games. I think that's all.
All right, okay. Okay, very good, Kanajma. Yeah, okay. A little bit of correction for the usage of grammar. So also you mentioned at the afternoon. So if you say afternoon in the with the yeah, you can use in the afternoon. So in the
Mm.
afternoons doesn't refer to an exact time of the day. So if you refer to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. exactly, jam 1 siang ya, you can use at 1 p.m. But earlier you didn't mention the
Oh,
exact time. You can use in the afternoon, in the morning, in the evening. That's for something that you're vague about. You don't refer to an exact time. Okay? So use that. Okay, I also like that you incorporate examples. So you answered this one. Yeah, do you prefer to be busy or have a lot of free time? You said, I prefer to have a lot of free time so I can do many things, such as, okay, so one of the answer or one of the strategies, the key strategies to answer the part one, the interview, is give examples. So when you give examples, you expand your answers. Diperpanjang jawabannya ya, because it shows fluency. However, when you give examples, for the first two, you did it right, like reading books, Helping my parents, you mentioned this, right? However, for the last one, you should use ing again, going to cafes or library. Or a library, yeah. Okay, so it is called parallel structure, Kak Najwa. So if you're using commas or and or like conjunction, reading, helping my parents, going out. So we have commas here, in between our verbs or in between nouns. So parallel structure means that you have to use the exact same structure. For example, you use past tenses. Read books, helped my parents, went to cafes. All of them needs to be in the same tenses. All right. So if you use ing, which was correct earlier, this was correct. Ini benar yang tadi. Reading books, helping my parents. However, in the third one, you went to the base form. Untuk yang ketiga tadi kan Najma mentionnya base form. Go to the cafes or library. So if you want to score higher, okay, pay attention to these structures as well, especially if you already know how to develop your sentences. Karena Kak cuma sudah bisa mendevelop kalimatnya, bisa untuk praktis lebih diperhatikan yang seperti ini. Alright, can I coba?
Okay.
Okay, alright, Kak Syarifah. Okay, we got disconnected again. Your turn, Kak Syarifah. This one, your daily routine.
Wi-Fi and also I
Okay,
okay. So yeah,
okay, we can
am
hear
I
you. Yeah, okay, try it speaking. Are you speaking, Kak Syarifah? Kak Syarifah? Kak Syarifah, are you there?